Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I am Nikolai Edwards. Let's take a look at the headlines. A call to teachers, lawmakers and healthcare providers to break the silence and end child sexual abuse. Building codes and regulations debated in the Senate. And a proposal to designate a lane for carpooling to reduce traffic congestion. Prime Minister, the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, says she will do all within her power to ensure that children who are victims of abuse have the necessary support structure in place to help them heal. Her promise comes as she launches the Break the Silence initiative, which is aimed at ending child sexual abuse in Trinidad and Tobago.
Of Gender, Youth and Child Development today launched its campaign against child abuse. The campaign is titled Break the Silence, End Child Sexual Abuse. It looks at removing the taboo surrounding the discussion of child abuse. It also encourages victims of child abuse to come forward and persons who suspect abuse to speak out and possibly save the victim. The initiative is also a call to action directed at teachers, law and policy makers, religious leaders and healthcare providers to create the support structure needed for victims and to prevent future cases of child sexual abuse. Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar, speaking at the launch, says her government is placing great emphasis in ensuring that government can provide as much support as possible to the victims.
Work will begin this month, I'm advised by the Minister, on the authority's first assessment center at the Children's Hospital at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. The center will be operational, I'm advised, Minister, you are telling me, and we task you, fully operational by June of this year. Very important. The Minister again is also constructing 2 other assessment centers, one in South Trinidad in St. Madeleine and one in Chaguanas. These centers we hope to have operational by September of this year. What will these centers do? They will provide an expanded presence of the critical personnel who can receive, assess, and activate emergency processes when a child is believed to be facing abuse of any kind.
The Prime Minister says other facilities related to the support of children in difficult situations will also be established.
The Ministry is also moving to ensure that appropriate facilities are provided for the emergency and foster care of children. New projects: Regional Assessment Center in St. Madeleine, Assessment Center Chaguanas, Female Safe Home off Reform Road, Reform Village, Princestown, Male Safe Home Tyler Lane, St. Madeleine, Female Safe Home Guayguayari, Male Transition Home, Institute of Healing Chatham, Remand Home for Young Female Offenders, Orange Grove, Multi-Purpose Youth Facility, Osborne Lane, St. Dominic's Living Quarters for Girls. These are new projects coming on stream.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Minister of Planning and Sustainable Development, Dr. the Honourable Bohindranath Tiwari, addressed the regulation of building development in Trinidad and Tobago through the Planning and Facilitation of Development Bill in the Senate on Tuesday. The bill addresses matters such as land use planning that takes into consideration the environment as well as regulation and enforcement of codes.
Outdated laws governing planning and development of spaces across the nation are being reviewed under the Planning and Facilitation of Development Bill. However, doing this in a sustainable manner that balances existing ecosystems together with development into a modern world requires legislation that facilitates this transformation at all levels. Planning and Sustainable Development Minister Dr. Bohindranath Tiwari, in laying the bill in the Senate, says the move will seek to include the input of all stakeholders in updating development plans.
So the Planning and Facilitation of Development Bill proposes a workable balance between strategic thinking at the national level and detailed land use and infrastructure planning at the level of the THA, at the level of regional or municipal planning, and at local area levels involving the community in places where they live. The process of adopting and passing plans has also been streamlined to facilitate the availability of updated plans to guide decision making.
This type of development, while has been spearheaded by the ministry since its inception in 2010, seeks to work in tandem with development occurring at the municipal level.
Is meant also to have alignment between regional planning and national planning strategy, so that you don't end up with a national planning strategy that seems to make sense and seems to bring order, and somebody at local government level doing what they want. Or alternatively, you don't have a situation where you might have good order in a region, let's say the THA, but you have disorder in other municipalities across Trinidad.
While the bill incorporates the town and country planning system, the minister says under these changes, transparency is promoted as well as decentralization without separating the services offered.
These complex applications and procedures are now aligned with the Certificate of Environmental Clearance, the CEC process of the EMA, for deeper and immediate devolution of powers to municipal government than has ever been envisaged under any previous initiative. Upon proclamation of the Act, there is immediate devolution of simple applications to municipal planning authorities. So there are 2 points really we want to emphasize, the devolution and decentralization, but we will also want to emphasize the integration. The fact that one of the problems has been fragmentation, and what we've tried to do here is to create the conditions for integration, so that this bill makes it easier for the citizen to stop running from place to place in order to get development work or permission.
The bill will seek to ensure that development plans are updated at least once every 5 years to accommodate the continuous changes in the societal landscape. Kimberam Calawan, News 4.
Coming up after the break, Bridges Reconstruction Program launched. Welcome back. 11 bridges will be constructed in the first phase of the Bridges Reconstruction Program. This was announced at the launch of the new program, which falls under the Highways Division Unit of the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure.
Building a bridge connects communities to one another, and in continuing this effort, the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure embarked on a Bridges Reconstruction Program. The first phase of the project consists of the reconstruction of approximately 11 bridges on the Highways Division network. Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. Suraj Ratan Rambachan turned his sword to begin construction work on the Bulbul Bridge at Cedar Hill, Claxon Bay. Speaking at the launch of the program and the project, Minister Rambachan called on residents in the area to be patient with works being done.
While we build this bridge and while we widen the river and so on, it may not necessarily be the solution to our problem of flooding. And higher up on this river, it might be feasible for us, and we're going to be talking to drainage about it, to develop a retention pond or two, which can hold the water, and we can have a sort of release of the water to avoid the flooding on the lower parts. So that's something that's going to be done concurrently as we work on this particular project in this area. I also want to, at the very beginning of my contribution, to thank you for the patience that you're going to have during the months that this construction is going to take place.
Under this program, 62 bridges were identified in need of reconstructing. Minister in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Stacey Rupnarine, says this project aims at tending to the needs of areas that have been overlooked in years gone by.
You know about the neglect of constituencies such as yours, such as perhaps the constituency of Tabaquit, the constituency of my own, Oropuch West. And it is something that persons take for granted if you are not from constituencies such as those, because you really have to live in rural neglect to understand what that feels like. And so today I feel very proud to say that the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure since 2010 to date, have been doing roads, bridges, landslips throughout Trinidad and Tobago.
Heading this project is Director of the Bridges Reconstruction Program, Mahadev Jagdev, who outlined some of the areas taken into consideration when constructing a bridge.
We do river paving works. We do Reno mattresses to prevent scoring. We do 2 standard lane widths. We do sidewalks on both sides. And we put in durable construction.
Meanwhile, Minister Rambachan urged contractors to utilize night hours to complete their projects on time to avoid inconveniencing commuters.
A lot of these bridges are taking between 270 calendar days and as much as 608 calendar days. But I don't believe that these bridges need to take that amount of time. What I want to urge the contractors, therefore, is let us use the dry season to work longer hours. Wherever it's possible, let us work at night time. If we are not doing piling and so on that will affect residents' sleep patterns, let us do as much work as we could do. If we need to double shifts, let us also double the shifts, because we want to get this work out of the way as early as possible without compromising quality.
Currently, the Bulbul Bridge can only accommodate single-lane traffic. However, following the completion of the road's widening, it will facilitate 2 lanes of traffic. Kimberly Ram-Calawan, News 4.
The Ministry of Works and Infrastructure will look into promoting the idea of carpooling to combat daily traffic woes faced by commuters travelling between North and South Trinidad. Dr. the Honourable Surajratan Rambachan says a study will be undertaken by the Ministry of Works and completed in February on its feasibility.
In an effort to ease the traffic congestion faced by commuters plying the south to north route on the Solomon Hochoy Highway, the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure is said to be considering introducing a lane designated to carpool drivers. Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. Surajratan Rambachan, speaking at the launch of the Bridges Reconstruction Program, says feasibility studies will be undertaken to consider how drivers will respond to this proposal.
We have been taking a lot of decisions to affect the flow of traffic and to ease the congestions that are taking place in the country. And for the traveling public, a number of significant projects have been completed which have alleviated some of the traffic congestion. For example, one of the large ones we have completed is the Ria Butler interchange, and that has just been done. And you know now how easy it is to get over the Churchill Roosevelt Highway going into Mount Hope or coming to south. In addition to that, we just extended a lane coming out of Aranguez right on to the interchange, which reduces the traffic pileup, because now drivers have a longer stretch of road to drive on in order to turn off going on the road to the east. So maybe there are small things in the eyes that we miss, but there are large things that in the sense of traffic congestion.
With the current influx of vehicles on the nation's roadways standing at 690,000 vehicles in the country, and with an average of 7,000 vehicles being added every 4 months, the minister says designated hours for this lane to be in effect will also be considered.
We are now doing a feasibility with respect to traffic moving from south to north as to how we may reduce the amount of traffic on mornings. We have talked about flexi time, we have talked about carpooling and what have you. But sometimes you have to motivate and reward people for doing that which is right. And what we are doing now is a study, and we hope to have that by the end of February, is to see whether we can dedicate a lane to buses, to maxi taxis, and to vehicles with 4 persons or more on a morning between the hours of 6 and 9.
However, the minister alluded to a problem which he says is embedded in our culture and affects traffic habits on a daily basis. He urged drivers and passengers to stay alert at all times when behind the wheel.
Our traffic situation is also affected by our own habits. Many days I am going down south to my office in Gasparilla, many mornings, and I see the traffic slow. And I know that I just came from north and there's no traffic along the roadway. Why? Why is the traffic now backed up to Claxton Bay? And then I see a bus shut down at the side of the road, and everybody stops to see this bus. Well, I see the policeman pulls somebody out from the roadway, and everybody stops, slows down to see what the policeman is doing to this. You know, there's something called a nosy character. We are nosy people. And part of our national character is always admiring somebody else's business rather than our own.
The carpool will look at encouraging drivers plying the route by offering rewards for those carrying 4 or more passengers into the capital city coming past Chaguanas. Kimberam Calawan, News 4.
Relief efforts continue to pour in for the flood-affected Caribbean countries of St. Vincent and St. Lucia, and Tobago got the opportunity to give generously toward the needs of the citizens of St. Vincent based on what they would have required.
On December 24, 2013, the eve of Christmas, disaster struck the Caribbean region, affecting a number of countries including Dominica, St. Vincent and St. Lucia. However, both St. Vincent and St. Lucia experienced heavy flooding and landslips, which resulted in a total of approximately 18 deaths and 5 persons missing. Immediately after the disaster, Caribbean countries were called upon by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency to assist the affected countries. The government of Trinidad and Tobago then instructed the ODPM to coordinate the relief efforts coming out of this country.
The country of St. Vincent, the government of St. Vincent have demonstrated through the disaster office back there, indicating exactly what their needs are.
The Tobago Emergency Management Agency coordinated Tobago's efforts, and with such short notice, quite a number of items were donated.
I must say that at this time, based on the short timeline, the response have been really outpouring, and we want to encourage citizens to do just that.
Items requested by the Vincentian government included cleaning and building supplies, mattresses, toiletries, diaper for both adults and babies, and water purification tablets. These items were taken to Trinidad by fast ferry and then to St. Vincent, with other items collected by the ODPM in Trinidad.
So we want to take this opportunity, one, to thank the general public and more so the corporate society who have come forward and in this period of time and answer that call.
Reporting from Tobago, Natoya Johnson, News 4.
The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management will no longer be accepting relief items to be delivered to 2 Caribbean countries. This after the tremendous support displayed by locals. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management has expressed its gratitude to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, volunteers, private sector entities, NGOs, and the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago who have demonstrated extreme selflessness and generosity over the last month. Citizens across the country answered the call to provide aid to our Caribbean neighbors in St. Lucia and St. Vincent who were devastated by flooding during the 2013 Christmas season. The final shipment of relief items from the ODPM will leave the port of Spain on Friday, January 17th. The ODPM announced on Tuesday that it would no longer be receiving donated items. However, persons still wishing to lend a hand can make direct contact with the National Disaster Offices of St. Lucia at 1-758-452-3802 and its counterpart in St. Vincent at 1-784-456-2975 for more information. Both islands have also expressed their gratitude to the Trinbagonian people for their unwavering support and display of true CARICOMness. Sport is on the other side of the break. Stay with us. The Trinidad and Tobago under-20 women fell to their first defeat of the CONCACAF Championship on Tuesday. The Warrior Princesses were beaten 3-0 by pre-tournament favorites Mexico in a hard-fought encounter at the Truman Bodhan Stadium. But as you will see in this Wayne Cunningham report from Grand Cayman, we were not overawed.
News 4 Sports at the CONCACAF Women's Under-20 Championship, courtesy the Ministry of Sport and the Sport Company of Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago and Mexico already secured semi-final berths when they met in the final Group B match of the CONCACAF Under-20, Women's Championships in the Cayman Islands. But what was at stake was first place in the group, which meant avoiding world powerhouse, the United States, in the semis. 5 minutes into the encounter, Mexico rocked the crossbar with a free kick as they took the match to the Warriors early. TNT handled the pressure well, with goalkeeper Tanisha Palmer doing her part to keep the opponents out. Trinidad and Tobago did have some chances, with Brianna Rice leading the charge up front. When the deadlock was broken, it came via an error from the reliable Palmer, as she fails to hold on to a tame shot from Palemo Zemeno, and it was 1-0 Mexico. TNT were hoping to pull that back before the break, as they stepped up in attack, but Cecilia Santiago was solid in goal for Mexico as she handled this Shanisa Cameo attempt. The Mexicans rewarded their captain for good goalkeeping by scoring goal number 2. Paulina Solis with a looping header in the 49th minute. The Warriors still did not give up though, as they produced a period of intense pressure on the North Americans. The rebound from this Brianna Rice shot almost finding captain Anique Walker, but once again, Santiago was there. The fight was knocked out of the ladies in red in the 77th minute with this penalty, which made it 3-0 Mexico. And that is how it stayed to the final whistle. Trinidad and Tobago fell to their first loss in the CONCACAF Under-20 Women's Championship, winning 3-0 to Mexico. It was a hard-fought game, and now we await the USA in the semi-final. Here's assistant coach, goalkeeper coach, Ross Russell on the loss. Ross, tell us your views.
I think it was a hard-fought game. I think we deserve a better result. But you know, mistakes sometimes do happen. I think the first goal was a surely blunder by the goalkeeper. And I think that opened up Mexico eye a little bit and make them a little more comfortable. But before that, I think we was in the game. I think our game plan worked about 75%. You know, and we see we can play at this level because Mexico is one of the stronger teams in the CONCACAF. And you see our girls match them. I think we got a lot of chances as well, which you know is unusual for Trinidad and Tobago team against Mexico. And I think you know we are ready to go and qualify for the World Cup.
All right, well, looking ahead to that, we're going to face perennial champions, the United States, in the semi-final. Tell us your thoughts on that matchup. We don't want any strategy, but just tell us your thoughts.
Well, I think it's going to be a hard game. I think it will be a harder one than this one. You know, but we will go back to the drawing board. I think we saw them play at least 3 times already, the staff that is. And I know we are already set to play whoever we get. And this is just a game for us to go to the World Cup, so we're going to take it as serious as possible. And I think we're going to qualify in the semi-final.
All right, you heard it from the man himself, the big Defence Force coach, Ross Russell, with a chance for us to qualify for the World Cup in Canada. I'm Wayne Cunningham, reporting from Ghan Cayman for News 4 Sports. Watching them. People think, I thought we didn't do it.
More after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. Glenn Ramadar Singh, graduated with a Bachelor of Laws degree from the Institute of Law and Academic Studies located in Chaguanas. The minister, upon receiving his certificate, posted on his Facebook page the significance of the achievement in his personal life, stating, "As a Member of Parliament, it is my responsibility to ensure that we debate and thereafter make the best laws to govern our nation. My degree allows me to carry out my job with an even better understanding." The graduation ceremony was hosted at the Paris Suisse Hotel in Laramine. The minister was awarded second-class honors from the University of London in 2013. However, he has stated that he has no immediate plans to obtain qualifications that will enable him to become a practicing lawyer. And that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services and the Ministry of Communications. I am Nikolai Edwards. Thank you for joining us.